Something about your hands on the wheel, got a sexy touch. It's enough to make me and my Chevy blush. Oh Lord, take it off with that highway. Turn me on, I'll let you drive, baby. You can take it fast as you want to. Girl, little dirty looks damn good on you. Start me up, Stones on the radio. Girl, I love it when you let go. Don't waste your way in the wrong way. Get out on some 4x4 play.
We are coming to you live from Stillwater, Oklahoma, the Kicker World Headquarters. And yes, this is live. For those of you that are not watching it a couple days later on tonight, we are actually live now. And, you know, anything can happen when you go live, and it sure did. I want to thank Sam Law and Bobby and Andy for tuning in, and the rest of you guys, Jason W2000, the Shop Dog. We can't do the show without you guys. If you guys are new to the show, we give away something every time we have a show. So go and make sure you register for the giveaways. That's kicker.com/umweekly. We will give you all kinds of cool stuff, and we'll do that at the end of the show. First of all, I want to introduce my fantastic crew. I got Steven back here playing on his phone, or, you know, who knows what he's texting Derny back there, probably laughing about what I'm saying. But Steven running the camera behind me, and then way back in the back of the room, we got Colin and Ernie back there. Wave, guys. Can't do it without those guys. And as always, you know, JW's on the crew, but, you know, he's been working really hard the last couple weeks, and we gave him the night off. He deserves it. He needs a break. We all work hard, but we have a lot of fun doing it, so it's really pretty much worth it. So we're going to talk about replacing your stock head unit with some really cool new stuff from Lynxwell. That's going to be our feature spotlight tonight. We're going to have John from Lynxwell on in just a little bit, and we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back in about 60 seconds, and we're going to talk about a couple new products that are coming out, and then we'll get right into the show. So we'll see you in 60 seconds. That was a little more. Hey guys, we're back, and as I promised, we got a couple cool new products that just started shipping. I know you guys have been asking for a Toyota box for, 20 years now? We finally listened. It just took so long. We've been making too many other cool projects, like, of course, the Solo XS that I have sitting next to me. That's part of one. It's just the spare. The rest of it was too damn heavy to put on the table. Anyway, we didn't want Steven to blow out his back like I usually do. So right now, we've got a couple new products we want to talk about real quick. Ernie, if you go ahead and pull up my laptop. You guys have been asking for a Tacoma box. We've got the new 2005 to 2023 Tacoma box, which is now shipping. This box uses a pair of L7T 10-inch woofers. It is really a neat box. Aaron put a lot of work into this box. I watched him do all the prototyping for it, and this thing really fits nice, and it really looks great in the truck. As you can see by the back of that enclosure, there was a whole lot of effort went into that box. So if you guys got a 2005 to 2023 Toyota Tacoma, we finally have the L7T box for you. It has retail price point about $849, but that is a lot of woofer for your buck. And then, as I skip past this one, as we've seen several views, we've got the Dual 12. Here's the new one that's going to be exciting as well. This is the fifth gen Ram box. Boy, we're getting tongue-tied tonight. So this is going to fit your 2019 and up Ram 1500s. Once again, dual L7T10s in this box, and Aaron spent a lot of time on this one to make sure we get the maximum airspace for the deepest bass, and I really like the looks of this enclosure. It's everything you've known to like from Kicker quality enclosures, cross-braced, internal sound dampening, and just that awesome Kicker punch. So these boxes are in the warehouse. They are shipping, so they are available for your orders today. So that'll be it for the new products we're going to talk about today. We got a bunch of other cool stuff we're going to go into. We already talked about the giveaways, so make sure you register for that at KickerUnMweekly.com. I think it's time to get right to it, so let's jump right in because we got a lot to talk about tonight, and you know me, when we get talking, I like to talk. So, all right, I'm going to bring on my guest, Jonathan from LinksWell. Jonathan, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man?
You are 2 hours behind us. You're in California, is that correct?
I am good old sunny SoCal.
Yeah. So we're beating you to the punch here a little bit. So, sunny SoCal. How's the weather been there?
We left for a week to go to Portland, and it rained while we were gone, and then we came back, and it was literally 90 degrees on Saturday.
Nice.
In February. So yeah.
I think we had 82 or 83 today.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous out. I had to make a little road trip down to Oklahoma City, but it was a beautiful day for a drive. The weather's going to change a little bit tomorrow here. I think it's supposed to be in the mid 50s and kind of rainy, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not weathermen anyway, but we do like to make some thunder. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah,
so.
I like it.
So, hey, Jonathan, tell me, what is your position at Lynxwell? I know, but I don't think our viewers know out there.
Sure. I kind of feel mostly like a Swiss Army knife. I think my technical title is marketing manager, but I dabble in tech support and in sales and show running and R&D, and I kind of find myself in all the little facets of the company. But my main focus is marketing.
Yep, and that's a lot of fun. I remember when I first was handed my job description, listed everything that I was supposed to be doing. There was this one little sentence at the very end that said, other jobs as they present themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that clause is probably the most widely used clause in the company.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's fun. You're not pigeonholed in one little area. You get to go out and see everything that's going on. I absolutely love what I do here. I mean, I get to play with all this cool stuff long before you guys even get to see it.
Yeah,
so.
Agreed. R&D is one of the favorite things to... You get all the insides, and it's always fun to have a piece of the call too. Like, hey man, make sure we do this, make sure we do that.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Feels like you created something. So
you know, and we do kind of like you guys. We design everything right here in house, and we've got a hell of an engineering team, and everybody puts their input, and we have the committees that vote, and you know that's why the products are so cool. But I got some other personal questions we're going to get into.
Sure.
So, what was your very first car audio system and car?
Ooh. So it would have been in the 90s. I had a 1985 Mustang convertible.
Nice.
Yeah, V6. Had no heater. Broke down every other Thursday. But we made door panels, and I started off with this was back when bass tubes were the thing, right? I had a bazooka.
Oh yeah.
A bazooka 6-inch, and then my dad actually blew that out before I ever drove the car. So then moved into an 8-inch. And then he blew that up before I drove my car. And then it turned into 2 8s by the time I got it. And then by the time I got rid of it, I think I had the 2 8s, like 2 10s. Like there was no trunk left. Like we just, it was the 90s. So you lived at the swap meet or the pawn shop, and you were just picking up anything you could. And you didn't know anything about building boxes, man. It was just like, how do you fit it? Cut the hole and away you go. So yeah, I think, it was a hodgepodge of, I couldn't even tell you what brand of what anymore. It just made noise.
But that's what makes it fun, the experimenting, just the creativity. And sometimes people take the creativity a little too far. We'll show you some pictures when we get to the fails a little bit later. But so give me a little background on how long you've been at Lynxwell, and when did Lynxwell actually start? What was the birth year for Lynxwell?
Yeah, so I've been at Lynxwell since the birth. Lynxwell, we opened up, I believe it was 2017. I'm horrible with years, but I'm pretty sure it's 2017 around May. Hired sales manager, office manager, and me. And I was technically tech support, and it was tech support, shipping, receiving, RNA, RA stuff, marketing. Like you're a new company, so you just there's always 100 things to do. And so we did that 2017, and we for a year were all about interfacing to factory radios. And as CarPlay continued to get more and more popular, the need for adding navigation to a factory radio kind of was starting to go away. So we had to find a new avenue, and one of our developers came up with what we know now for the T styles. But yeah, 2017, I've been here from day one, sitting in this little itty bitty cubicle in Rancho Cucamonga, and now we actually literally just bought a building. Like at the end of the year, we're like waiting to move into this massive building. So it's been a ride. Yeah.
I can't wait to come and see that. And like I say, I've got firsthand with your products. I've been using them for several years now, and I really, really like what they do. So tell people what the main goal of the LinksWell radios are. I mean, what is the problem that you guys solve for our consumers out there?
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I've been in this industry since the 90s, right? Like I grew up with the cassette to CD, the CD to the flip out screen, the flip out screen to the double din, right? And like there was just always so much excitement. Like you go to CES and you go to SEMA because you just couldn't wait to see what the next thing was. Like what were these guys coming out with? But like once we hit that double din moment, like we just kind of quit doing things. And then the factories started to put in, instead of a 7-inch screen, they were putting in an 8-inch screen. And then they were creating dashes that had, integrated dashes with the climate controls and all that, which just made our job as an aftermarket company, business to try and put a radio in harder and harder. And then really there was no like big feature bump until CarPlay and Android Auto came out. And those actually were nothing to do with the radio. Like those all came from the phone. Apple made CarPlay and then sold it to Ford and Chevy and Alpine and Kenwood and all that. So the development really just kind of stalled out years and years ago. And so with this like hole in the market that says, okay, an aftermarket double din screen, like the biggest you're getting is 7-inch. And like my Ford came with an 8-inch. And now my Ford has all of these factory features that roll through. I can adjust what time my headlights turn off. I can adjust like the trailer brakes and all this stuff on the radio. So it made an aftermarket radio going in there really hard because nobody wants to go from an 8-inch to a 7-inch first off, and then to try and
lose all the features.
Yeah, you lose all those features. And so where we came in was, well, let's go way bigger. Like let's do right. Like Tesla came out with those big tablets, and everybody thought that was the greatest thing in the world. Well, let's put it in somebody's F-150. Let's put it in somebody's Mustang. Let's put it in, somebody's Tundra. Like let's figure out how to put this huge screen, and then we do it on an open network like an Android tablet, which means now we start to give you like an actual multimedia system that you can do something with apart from your phone. Like you could jump in a car with our radio in it without your phone and still be able to do Spotify or all of that stuff because it doesn't need your phone for it. So we really were trying to find that like the market is kind of stalled out. The factories kind of trumped the aftermarket radio, and it's time for us to trump back. Like we can't let Ford have a better stereo than us, right? Like this is what we do. This is what we do. Like,
well, if they keep doing what they're doing, they're never going to get there.
That's true. That's true. But that's just what we do, right? So it was like, how are we going to find this hole? And there was a huge hole, and we came out with this idea on 4 platforms, and we showed it at a K-Fest in Dallas, and everybody was like, yes, yes, yes. Give me more, give me more. And so then it was like, all right, run to the races. And then because it was a new product, right, building off of an Android tablet changes everything. Like your audio processing is completely different. How a radio works, because everything has to function as like an app and a control. So it's like recreating the wheel almost when it comes to a car stereo. So there's been like anybody that's dealt with us over the years, like you can see from our first generation up to where we are now, 6, like the big leaps that we just kept making as we would find ways to make products better or interact better. So, but yeah, we wanted to give somebody something that looked as good as factory, but better, that could do more than factory. And then like you and I, man, we cut our teeth in audio, right? Like give me some pre-outs. Like I want to hook amplifiers to this. I don't want to have to use high lows and all that. So we'll give you all of that stuff as an aftermarket radio too. So we wanted to we wanted to give people their
factory doesn't.
Yeah, we want to give people their cake and let them eat it too. Have it all.
Well, also, I will mention, not only do speaker level out, they're powered and RCA, but they also do fiber optic Toslink out, because that's what I'm actually using in my Mustang.
Yep. That's what we use on all show cars too, because it's just that one extra step, right? It's like, You want that a little bit better, man. Let's just
Yep.
push it a little harder. Yeah.
And no chance for noise, and
Yep.
digital all the way, and
Yep.
you're just not going to get that. Now there's some of the factory radios out there that are doing that, some of your upper end cars, but if you want to tap into that, now you're talking really expensive adapters to allow those to work. But you can probably pretty much buy one of your radios for what that is going to set you back. But
Yep.
it really is a neat format, and like you said, being Android based. You're exactly right. I mean, you literally can get in the car without your phone. I can literally do everything on my unit that I can do with the phone, other than put it in my pocket.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. You're right. And then there's just all the third-party integration, right? Like Ring doorbells and stuff like that. Being able, like, we've got guys that are opening and closing their garage doors. We have a bunch of like construction guys that actually do QuickBooks and will print inside their truck when they get done at a job. They'll print the invoice out of their truck using our radio. So there's just so many like weird, like spider webs of things you can do with it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. Some of the other things I like is the graphics that you guys have done for the climate controls, and it really is nice to be able to control everything. Because I know when I first got my Dodge truck, the radio did everything. I mean, program the headlights, like you said. I mean, just about everything, and the seats, the climate, everything went through the radio. And I was always worried that, if I take that out, I'm going to lose the ability to control all that. And with, your unit, I did not lose anything. In fact, I gained a lot more versatility. And I think we should probably mention that, to do that, that does require a SIM card.
Yeah. If you want to do, which is a bonus, right? Like there's the SIM card option, and then there's the Wi-Fi option. But there is, like you said, that factory compatibility. So on top of that, like our radios are like 100% complete. So the one thing that a lot of times will happen is you get a radio, then you need the kit, then you need the harness, then you need the amp adapter. You get all these different pieces. And there are some phenomenal companies out there, each making each individual piece. I think highly of all the companies making each individual part. But what I do know, having been in this industry a long time, is sometimes like you don't know if it's the Maestro piece or the radio piece, or you don't know if it's the radio or the kit, right? There's sometimes when you have different brands kind of mixing together, sometimes it's hard to make sure, like figure out who's what, but we're everything. So like we're doing everything so that you don't have to worry about a third party integration. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's great. Like it's all right there,
Yeah, and it fits perfectly. And I couldn't believe when I first got the kit on the Dodge. I mean, it literally is the whole center of the dash. Yeah. You guys just don't replace the little screen, just a bolt on front of it. It really is the entire package.
Yep, 100%.
And that's what, a lot of guys are always worried about too. Is it going to look right? Is it going to look cheap? And, that's one of the things that my wife was really concerned about when we put that. Is that the 15.4, I think, in the Dodge? I forgot the exact.
I don't know. Did you do the XL?
Yes.
Yeah, 15.6. That thing's
15.6.
Yeah, it's overwhelming until it's in, right? And then when it's in there, you're like, oh, this is what was supposed to be here from the get-go.
Well, the funny thing was, when I have the wife with me, we were driving at night. She was always worried about, if she, sees a police officer, it's like, hey, we need to cover the radio up so we don't get pulled over for watching. It's like, no, the stock trucks come with radios, not quite this nice, but they're big like that. So, and it looks factory. I mean, they're going to look in and say, hey, you put a TV screen in. Nope, that's just the radio. Look, it's still got all the factory vents. I mean, it's all molded in, fits perfect. And so she's gotten used to it, and like I say, I sure have. I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't driving down the road, didn't have that thing, right on the right side of me, telling me everything that was going on.
Yeah. Well, and there's a perk to that safety-wise. So I tell this to a lot of people because they're like, oh, I don't know about the dash kind of being a little higher, but it's actually a good safety feature. Like if you think of when you're navigating, like that's actually why a lot of the factories brought the radios higher, because once they put CarPlay in, and the navigation was up higher, people were looking at their screen more often. So to look down at your console and then try to look back up, there's that whole, like, an accident happens in a split of a second, right? So having the screen up higher keeps your eyes on the roads more than it does looking down. So there's actually a huge safety feature on top of how cool it is to have that bigger screen, because your eyes are less likely to come off the road, even when you're checking your navigation or changing your song or something. So, I think that's what do you call that? A public service announcement.
Yeah, there you go.
It's safe.
And I can't agree with you more on that. That's why I like our, subwoofer level controls on the amplifiers. I mean, you don't ever have to take your eyes off the road. Just reach up and, adjust the knob and go right back, rather than having to physically interface with, a radio trying to do sub level. But obviously you guys do front, rear, and sub out on your units.
We do.
So it's nice to have that option to do pretty much anything you want. Some of the other things that I think are really cool is, you got some really nice DSP functions. Why don't you tell the guys what all you can do with the DSP that's built into these radios, because it is really kind of unique and cool.
Yeah. So we'll give you a 16-band EQ that lets you do all of that stuff. We've got crossover points for your front and lows. We actually have a way to make it so instead of it being front, rear, sub, it's like a 3-channel break for the guys that really want to get super techie. And then we've got time alignment, so you can actually change the cabin so that your speakers are hitting you, at the certain point when you want to hear better. I want to be, driver's side, passenger side, or whatever. And then of course individual gain control. So rather than a like variable fade, we have gain controls per channel. So it's not going to be a matter of like pushing forward or pushing backwards. You're literally gaining control each individual channel to tune it. You can just kind of tune a little bit better that way than trying to find that middle point of fade and balance. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think you get the left front, right front, left rear, right rear in the sub, and they're like a little dial. You basically can spin your finger around it and dial in exactly what you want. So, and the thing I do really like is equalization. I mean, these amplifiers work so well with our LX amplifiers, because the LX have time delay in each amp, but one thing you can do, and I've done this with your units, is you can do a global time alignment for the left side, and then you can go back in with our amplifiers and actually do the time alignment between the mids and tweeters, or the mid bass, and dial it in that way. So, it's a combination of the two. If you do a little bit of work on tuning, you're really going to, make a big difference on the end result and how good everything sounds.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. The time alignment's one of those things that you're like, that's a lot of work. But then once you do it, you're like, oh, okay, that was definitely worth the work for sure. So
yeah, and I remember seeing a post one time that was basically directed towards retailers, like, do you sell stereo or do you sell audio? Stereo is just left and right, without, really tuning it for a stage. So there's a big difference between putting in a stereo and putting in a complete audio system.
Yeah, I agree.
Something that's designed to, basically make the car disappear.
Yes. Makes it feel bigger, like you're not in a car.
I know Ernie's been bragging about the fact with his Ford that, even with that radio that he's got in his, I can't remember which one he put in there, but he can still start his truck from his phone. It does not affect any of those functions whatsoever. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Again, it's a lot of R&D work to try and retain a lot of those factory things, because it's reverse engineering the CAN bus and re-engineering the CAN bus, and we do work really hard to retain. Like we want you to be able to keep everything that you want from your factory. So 360 cameras. The apps and stuff to be able to start it, factory Wi-Fi's and stuff like that. Like we really just we set the bar high, and just as a big nod to our owner. When I first applied for this job and I interviewed with the owner, he looked at me and he's like, I need to know what people want. And I was like, wait, you want to know what people want? He's like, yeah, I don't want to make something nobody wants. Like, he has this mentality of what do people want? And then once he finds out what they want, then he's like, okay, good enough isn't good enough. Like he wants the best. Like he dreams big. Like that knob that's on the XL, that has been I believe it was a 3-year. He saw it and he goes, I want that. And they're like, that doesn't exist. He goes, I don't care, make it. Like that was it. The hammer was down, and it took them a couple years, and they got it figured out, and we made that on-screen knob. But that's just kind of because the owner's mentality is there. Like everybody has to follow suit,
Yeah, and I really appreciate that attitude. I know, growing up through audio through the years, starting in the, literally late 70s and going up through all the years and all the head unit changes, like you said, with the flip face when Kenwood first started doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Or the defaceable radios. I love that. Hey, my radio's defaceable. I always tell people, yeah, you can spray paint on any of them. But the thing that I really got irritated with was for a while there, and I think it was probably in the mid-90s, I'm starting to lose track, that they went away from all the knobs. And, I really like a volume knob, and that's one of the things that the knobs that you have on these to control the volume are very easily accessible. I think, the Mustang's in the upper left corner of the radio, which literally is right where your hand is. And since the Dodge is up higher in the dash, it's on the bottom. But it's nice to be able to reach over and grab the knob. The steering wheel controls still work as well. So I find myself, bouncing back and forth. I don't know, just keep the entertainment level up or keep me from getting bored. But yeah, everything still works together. So can you give kind of obviously each vehicle is going to be a little bit different, but give me an idea of some of the OEM features that you retain that some of your competitors do not, and just a standard aftermarket radio would not do.
Sure. So like really anything that's factory, unless you get like a radio that's got Maestro, and I don't know Maestro enough to tell you what Maestro can retain, but like the Ford trucks, a lot of the big question we get all the time is, can I retain the massage seats? And we can retain the massage seating. Then there's the 360 camera that's actually touchscreen controlled. So being able to adjust all of the different 360 cameras, we can retain that. With the Jeep, the higher end Jeep has a front camera now that actually has a squirter on it. And so we can retain not just the rear camera, which is actually quite difficult. Most of the manufacturers aren't even retaining that camera because it's a funky high def camera. And so we have this whole converter box, but then we can also control the front camera. So we can switch to the front camera. We can use the squirter. We can keep the little squirter to, clean off your trail cam, right? Like we can retain that. Also with the Jeep, all the EV stuff. So we can retain the off-road pages, which is a big thing for all the guys that are Jeepers. They want to keep that off-road page with the pitch and the balance and the lockers and all that stuff. So we can retain all those pages, and we can actually add them to anybody who didn't have them. So if you didn't have those pages, we can actually add those pages. And then if you have the EV, if you have the EV, we can do all the EV information and the max regen, which I don't know another company that can retain the max regen when it comes to the Jeep 4xe. So we can retain that. All of the Dodge stuff with like the trailer brake things, like we can retain all those settings on the trailer brakes. The Jeep, again, the factory switches, we can retain all the programming for those factory switches. And then for the most part, like if it's a Dodge, we can retain Alpine without anything extra. If it's a Toyota, we can retain JBL. On a Tacoma, we can keep the factory 360 camera working on that as well. All of the seat heaters and seat coolers and, all that stuff. Like, I don't know really. I think there might be like 4 or 5 features that we can't retain. Like, I think within the Ford, like if you have that button that you can push it and it parks itself, like I don't think we can retain that one because there's a lot happening with the camera system and we just can't retain that. But there's that one. And then
I don't think I trust one of those anyway. In fact, I don't. The wife's Cadillac has got that auto park feature, and we've had this car for a couple of years now. It's like we're scared to even try it. So
I would be
not a big deal in my opinion there.
Mine either. But there's some folks that's the thing. But here's the name of the game with anything aftermarket, right? Like it's always a cost and balances. Okay, so your factory does this. This is what an aftermarket will gain. This is what an aftermarket will lose. What matters most, right? Like if the auto park matters the most, well, then you just keep what you got. Like there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's just what matters most. So, roll with it. But we do, man, I can't think of many more things that we can't retain, to be honest with you.
Well, Roger's asking in the feed there, it's like for the uplifter switches, and do you have any triggered outputs, things you can program independently?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we don't have anything built into it, but what we can do, because we're an app-based system, so like we've worked with trigger controller, we've worked with switch pros, we've worked with diode dynamics. So they actually have their own boxes that you put out under the hood, run all their stuff to it, and they have an app. So you just download the app to our radio, then you just open the app, and then you control the lights from the radio using their app. So that's one of the things about our systems that like we don't need to be the guys that create the outputs because we can just download somebody's app. They've already done it. Like why reinvent the wheel? Like these guys have already got these amazing switchers with all these. So
use it.
Yeah, just plug it in there. So in my Jeep, I've got in my Jeep and in our Silverado, we're running the Diode Dynamics D switch, and we put it on the app or the radio, and I open the app, and within 3 seconds, it's paired, and I can control my off-road lights right there on the radio. Some of our other vehicles, we use the AAC trigger, the trigger controller, and then I got one of our influencers messaged me, and Switch Pros worked on his. Like, he's got videos on his Tundra working it. So yeah, so it's not built into it, but it's really easy to do because a lot of these companies are already they made it easy for us, really.
I think Roger's really paying attention because he had another great question. He was asking about integrated dash cam capabilities.
Yeah, so we have a USB driven DVR camera that you can stick on there, and it'll download. So it all records onto the and a little SD card on the camera that's on the windshield, and then you can control it, lock it, watch it, and everything on the screen. It actually has an ADAS feature. I will say, ADAS, when it's just the camera doing the monitoring, when it comes to like lane departure and collision avoidance, like, you got to understand it's an AI system taking in just one camera. So if you merge slowly, it's going to tell you, hey, you're getting out of your lane, because it doesn't know you have a turn signal on. So I will say that, but it does do that. But then you could also do, like, we're super tight with the Wolfbox. So like, Wolfbox is huge with their mirror DVR camera. They have an app as well. So you can actually put the app on the radio, access the Wolfbox DVR, pull the video straight into that way. So we have one that's USB driven, and a lot of these DVRs already have apps. So you'd be able to do it the same way.
It sounds like I need to make a phone call to Walter to get some dash cams. I will tell you guys, this is not necessarily a public service announcement, but something that I realized long ago, riding in some of the vehicles, and some of these drivers out there are so awful. And my wife being a bailiff for 11 years, I mean, it's not what what happened in court, it's what you can prove.
Yep.
So having a dash cam, I mean, I looked at, buying a couple dash cams, which, I did a couple of years ago, $270 for a dash cam. But, when you have the $1,000 deductible on your vehicle, if you get one accident that they don't find either one at fault, or, they find you at fault, the camera can save you in a lot of those instances. So It's nice that you have that capability to build that right in.
Yeah, it is. It's super easy, and again, we can work with some of the other brands, and I would totally agree with you on the DVR. Like, the amount of stuff that ends up on our Instagram feed, right, of people like uploading camera footage where somebody like slammed on their brakes and then backed into their car.
Yeah,
like,
the insurance scams.
Yes.
I get bored in hotels at night, and I watch a lot of those in-car camera things. And some of these things that people do are just stupid. What's really funny is the people that pull one of those insurance frauds. Like you say, they slam on the brakes in front of the semi. They get out, they like go run up, start yelling at the driver like it's his fault. They see the camera, and then they cover their head and back off and get in the car and take off again.
Yes.
So, yeah, some of those are kind of comical. It's a shame that people do stuff like that.
Yep.
But, a couple of things I want to bring up back on the apps, for guys that are really into audio. I mean, Tidal should be paying me. I mean, I really enjoy it so much. The fact that it streams high res for, $11 a month. But, when you're playing Tidal through your phone, I mean, it tells you right away that, it's, compressed, because you're basically Bluetoothing from your phone to the radio. But when you use the SIM card and you pull up the app and you run it right from the radio, you have full high-res and Dolby Atmos capability.
Oh, yeah.
By using the apps. And I shouldn't tell you guys this out there, but yes, you can even download Netflix and YouTube and Google. And pretty much, I don't think there are any apps that I found that I couldn't download on my units if I really wanted to.
Yeah, totally. And so then there's so Spotify just started doing lossless as well, and so being able to
they're late to the game, but it's about time.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But it is great to have that lossless. So we actually we were in Portland for the Oregon Auto Show last week, and we had both vehicles on Spotify with lossless playing, right? And we're fiber optic all the way to our amplifiers, and so like everybody would stick their head in there and just be like, oh my gosh, like they're just like they've been transformed into like this concert hall. They're like looking around trying to find where the speakers are, right? Because it's just so imaged and beautiful. And yeah, it's
and what speakers were you using for all of this?
Oh, well, we always use Kicker.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
shameless plug there, but
yeah, I don't think we've built a car without Kicker in it. So
you guys have been awesome. You've been great partners for us, and like I say, thanks for all your support.
No, I actually cut my teeth like in the industry early on. A buddy and I, he was the guru of building cars. This guy, like, he was a mad genius with fiberglass, and I was the mad genius with wire. So the two of us made some really cool cars. We did so many builds with Kicker. We did stuff for like Jeremy McGrath back in the day. We were building stuff for for Ford and all kinds of cool things. Always Kicker, man. I've been a Kicker guy since the 90s. So
I remember we were working with Jeremy one time, and we went and we're looking at one of his Mercedes, and he was all excited about the new exhaust system he got on that car, and the exhaust system I think was $26,000, and this was 20 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, that's more than I'll spend on a car, at least back then I thought.
Yeah,
but, yeah. Jeremy was great. He was good people to work with, and Travis Pastrana, all those guys have just been so much fun, and they've been a great benefit and influence for our brand and your brand as well. So it's nice to work with some of these people, and they are just normal, down to earth people that love the same things we do.
Yep, and it's crazy how like car guys are car guys whether you're in the industry or not, right? Like you could be a motorcycle guy, you could be a guy behind the desk, but if you're a car dude, like there's just something about like there's a connection there.
Yeah, absolutely. And car guy, music guy, I mean, it kind of all goes together. But there are some of those guys. I had a guy that used to do all my body work. He had a customer that had this absolutely unbelievable 57 Chevy. I mean, 454, 871 blower on it. I mean, this thing was crazy. He owned a trash company, and I think all he did was spend money on his cars. But Larry kept trying to talk him into, let me put an audio system in it. He said, I got an audio system. It's out there under the hood. So different folks and different strokes.
Yes,
but that's
absolutely.
okay too. But
that's absolutely true. I want both. I want the rumble, and then I want to be able to have my radio loud enough that I don't hear the rumble.
Yeah, and I agree completely.
Yeah.
So next odd question. So we talked about everything they do and how cool they are. How tough are these to put in? I mean, what is required? Is it, a high-end level installer? Ernie's back there. Even he did it. So, all right, anybody can do it. Ernie can do it. Anybody can. But give them kind of an idea if they're going to put one in their car. In fact, we can get Steven to put one in. He's sitting back here on his phone looking at me like, yeah, whatever, jerk.
Yeah. So I will say that is a relative question because it depends on how well you can use a tool, right? Like if you feel confident enough to pull your dash
even if you are a tool, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you feel confident enough to pull your dash apart, then the install itself physically is not very difficult. Like everything plugs in. You're not cutting any wires. You're not cutting any dash. Like we've tooled everything so that you could literally take our stuff out and put the factory stuff back in. Like nothing's going to get damaged. You're not cutting out anything. You're not, having to cut any wires or change anything. Everything's just going to plug in, male to female, female to male. Gets all in there. The only thing you got to be mindful when you're done with that is to tell the radio, hey, okay, so I'm in a truck and it had this option, this option, and this option. You just got to sit there and program it. And we've got tutorials on our YouTube that they can watch, and we walk through all those steps. Or, we do have a phenomenal group of dealers that have great technicians. And I will say this, even if you're a DIY guy, and you think you can do it on your own, just know if you run into issues, your selling dealer's your biggest advocate for help. Like they're going to be, your dealer's your first line of help. We've got technicians in-house, but our technicians are helping the dealers. So if you do decide to do it yourself, man, right on. We have tech support via chat and email, but if you get anything, your dealer's going to be your guy because we do have some phenomenal dealers out there. So I will plug for that. Always, know that if you're kind of wishy-washy about it, I would go to our website, find that closest dealer to you, and go have one of those guys put it in because they definitely know what they're doing. But other than that, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I did have a few issues that I had to call you and Victor for, but it was weird things. Like for some reason, mine was set up where, right-hand drive, which is cool because, if you got a right-hand drive vehicle, you can tell the radio. I mean, it's all just in the software.
Yep.
And something else weird, but it was all in the setting on the unit. And I know I had to tell mine, what type of climate control I had, but once you do all that, it's really pretty amazing. I mean, I don't feel like I've lost anything at all, and I've gained so much more by having the units in the vehicles.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But I mean, I'm a little biased, but I would agree.
Yeah. All right. So Jason, WW2000 says, what's the difference between T-Style and IQ series?
Oh, man, that's a great question because that actually leads me into some exciting stuff that's coming. So the T-Style, the T-Style is where we started. The T-Style was a vertical screen that took over climate controls and everything, did a whole dash replacement. The thing about a T-Style is it's very expensive to manufacture, and it's very expensive to do the R&D work because we have So an F-150 figure, there's probably 15 or 16 variables when it comes to trim settings. And so we have to be able to get in and out of these 15 or 16 variable trucks multiple times during development. And then you have to create the climate controls. So there's more components that you have to make. So it's a very expensive, like we usually, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this online. I might get yelled at, but we usually have to sell at least 500 units before we ever recoup. So every time we got to think this through. Okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to get there? So what the IQ series was we decided to make the screen horizontal and make it kind of like a double DIN system where your dash, we would have multiple dash kits that had a hole that this thing would fit into. So rather than being a double DIN hole, it would be a hole that would hold like a 10-inch screen, make it look more factory because we would flush the screen in there. So it would look a little factory, but then we would retain the factory climate controls and stuff like that. So that part of the R&D, that part of the manufacturing would drop way lower, which let us, instead of having like a T-style that's going to run like $1,600, we could do an IQ that was going to cost you around $900. So the idea was to kind of find a way to fill in the gap for all of those people who had cars that we couldn't make a T-style for, and, you know, be able to give them, because an IQ radio is going to do everything the T-style does except the climate controls. That's really the only difference. It's still Android, so you can still do the Google Play Store. The EQ section's slightly different just because it's running a different DSP, but for the most part, still has toss links, still has front rear subs, only has one camera input instead of the 3. So there's a few differences, but for the most part, it's the same system. But that system, for whatever reason, has not done great in market. So we created a IQ2 that we are going to release probably coming around April. That one's going to be an 11.5-inch screen, but with the same kind of idea where the dash kits are kind of interchangeable. So this is for the guys. We're leaning more this way. We're going to have an IQ2 for pretty much everything we have a T-style for right now, plus a couple extras. So for the guys, we just had guys like Jeep guys that are like, oh man, I really like the screen, but I don't want to give up my factory buttons for my climate control. So this will give that Jeep guy an 11.5-inch screen, all of the cool features that LinksWell has, and they can retain those factory climate controls. So really the biggest difference is climate controls are not on the screen. They're gonna retain them. So that was my long story around, but that's what that is. That are still really cool radios. They're probably one of my favorites, to be honest with you.
That'll be exciting, like I say, especially, and thanks for giving us a little tip, a little heads up on what's coming out in the near future.
Yeah, keep an eye on our socials.
So another thing that I think is kind of unique about your radios that I like is the fact that you can download your own backgrounds.
Yeah.
You know, upload your own pictures, and I've yet to do that. I just don't spend enough time on my vehicles anymore, but I need to get around to doing that. But tell them how difficult or easy that is, I should say. Yeah,
so it's super simple. We've got tutorials on our it's like a phone, right? Like everybody knows how to change the background on their phone, move apps around, put apps in groups, right? And that's literally what it takes for us to change the background. Or, you know, you can add all sorts of widgets. Like we found some really cool like weather widgets. Ring has widgets, Netflix has widgets, Spotify has widgets, like, and then Android, you know, for those of you who are Android people or not Android people, you're Apple people, Android, actually in the Play Store, you can download what they call launchers, and those literally change the way everything looks. Like the phone still functions the same, but your app shapes are different. The homepage is different, how the icons show up on your screen. So you can literally go into the Google Play Store, pay $5 and download a different launcher, and your radio screen, your radio screen will look different every week if you wanted it to. You could just upload this new launcher, make that your home launcher, and then when you hit the home, instead of it being our launcher, which is a pretty basic, like put your apps where you want them, like there's an Iron Man one that's like his chest and like things like swing open, right? Like there's so many different launchers out there. Like you can really get really wild. I love watching. So I'm not a smart person. I'm going to put that out there. So I learn a lot from our customers. Yeah, I learned so much about what our radio can do from our customers. Like years and years and years ago, I had a guy message me. I mean, we're talking probably 6 years ago. He messaged me and he goes, "Hey man, I want to show you something." And he had downloaded an emulator and put a bunch of ROM games on a hard drive, and he plugged in a USB remote and he was playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out on the radio, right? Like, and I was like, wait,
Hopefully not while he's driving.
Well, no, it was for his kids while they were like waiting for the park or something, right? And I was just like, wait, how'd you do that? And so he's like, oh, here, he sends me this link to this $20 remote on Amazon, and then all the ROMs were free and the apps were free. So he was like, oh, I just did it like this. I'm like, so it cost you $20 and now you can play Nintendo in your car, bro? Like, okay, cool. Let me just make a video about this because I think that's cool. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of smart people out there. A lot of smart people.
Yeah, I agree. And, that's why we have to have good tech support. And you guys we're the collective that people come up with that cool stuff. I mean, people, same thing with our products. Sometimes they'll come up with something really cool. We had a guy one time that this was years ago when we first introduced the L7s back in, 2000. That guy called us. He was looking for just the baskets and the motors for them. And, like, why do you want those? I mean, you can't buy the parts through, but he was working on using the L7 motors for a blood pumping system for cardiology. It's like, what? Like, he said, yeah, the motor structure, it's got the right amount of travel. It's got more than enough force to do this. So, there are some pretty creative people that'll take your products and do things you never had
knew
any idea what could be done with them.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I love that.
So I know one of the other questions was up, and maybe you already have it. One of the guys, not remember who it was asking about a video on the new Rams for the new install on the new Gen 5 Rams.
Gen 5 Rams. Yeah, we've got one for that one for the 19 to 20. I think. Well, so right now I think it's to 24. I think 25 or 26. Something changed in the CAN bus, and our guys are trying to figure out what that is because there's a few that we've had call in that something in the CAN bus is not quite working right. But we do have an install video on that RAM for the 15-inch.
Good. Well, hopefully he was paying attention and caught that. And I was pretty sure you did. But
yeah, we do.
All right. Do you have any universal radios? If someone just likes your the Android style and just isn't worried so much they don't have a bunch of the creature comforts on their factory radio, do you have just universal units that someone could buy and use?
We do. We have a 13.3 inch floating double din. So it's a double din chassis, and then the screen will float out in front of it. And it's actually motorized, so it can go horizontal or vertical. It'll spin like that. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. Vertical is great for nav, and horizontal is great for not nav. So I'll just leave it there. But and it's gonna have all the things you want, man. Front, rear, sub, toss link, all the app stuff. Again, you have the steering wheel control, so you would definitely need because it's universal, right? So you're gonna have to figure out whatever harness you're gonna need or steering wheel control adapters. That stuff's not by us on that one. But we've got the inputs for all that stuff, so you can do the steering wheel controls. It's got a backup camera input, all that good stuff.
Well, cool. I know you sent me some pictures earlier. We're actually pushing time here. There's a few other things I want to get to. Yep. So I'm going to ask Ernie to bring up the video or my laptop so we can start showing you some of the different models of things that you guys do offer for those guys that are not totally familiar with it. So go ahead and pull it up. I think, Ernie's got it pulled up there. So here we got a Toyota.
Yep, that's the third gen Tundra or Tacoma.
Yep, that looks like a familiar truck up there in the picture. I think I've seen that one before.
Yeah, we had it at a few shows.
Yeah, just a few. And of course, you guys in your Fords, you got to have your Expeditions.
Yep.
18 to 21 Expeditions, and that unit looks absolutely great. And I was going to mention earlier, and it just reminded me, even with that 15.6, like the one I have in my Dodge, it does stick up above the dash, but it does not stick up above the hood level.
Yep.
So it is not going to block, unless you're 3 foot tall, then you should be driving anyway without a booster seat. But it's not going to block any vision whatsoever. But man, those things are so nice to have in there. Next one we've got here is
there's a double din.
Yep, and that looks like the Ford.
Yep, yeah, I think it's in a old F-150.
And I'm going to complain about the mouse on my laptop again. I hate how touchy this thing is. But here we go with another Ford, the F-150s. Newer style.
Yep.
And your Jeep guys.
Yeah, Grand Cherokee.
I rented one of those last year. I hadn't been in a Grand Cherokee in a long time. Ever since they were like in the 80s when they were square. But Grand Cherokee was actually a pretty nice vehicle.
Yeah, they're pretty plush cars for sure.
Yeah, I was really enjoying that.
Yeah.
And of course, we got to have the Super Duties out there.
And and that's going to be the Gen 5. So that's the 12-inch version instead of the 15-inch.
But that looks so, I mean, it just blends so nicely with the dash, and with that whole dash kit and everything, and it works fantastic. And of course, you got to have your Chevy radios out there.
Yep. Yeah, we've got different versions of the Chevys. There's one of the Jeeps for that. It's a 12-inch for the JL JT.
Yep, the newer Wrangler style. And then, hey, I've got a 92 YJ. Do you make something for that?
Double din.
No, that won't even work in that.
Yeah, YJ.
I always said I'd never own a Jeep, but I ended up buying one. But it's going to be a fun project. We'll show you what we're doing, guys, a little bit later as I get closer to being done. I think we got some cool marketing things that we're going to do with that one. So, and of course the Sierras. I mean, just you name it, you guys have got it. And once again, that nice little volume control at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a lot of Jeeps. Jeeps must be popular.
Yeah,
And then there's this car, the 15 and up Mustangs.
Yeah. That one's a really nice looking radio too. That one looks really slick in there. That's one of my favorite like fit and finish ones.
That's probably my second favorite, and I'll tell you why in just a minute.
Okay.
You probably already know. Here's a great video. Tell us what's going on in the video.
That's our IQ2. That's a little sneak peek of our IQ2. So that's the 11.5-inch inside our Jeep. That was us driving to Portland through the snow. And I was like, hey, you know what? This is about the only that you guys are looking at the only living video of the IQ2 right now. That's it right there. CarPlay on there. That's going to do all the cool stuff. But you can kind of see how it's going to fit between the knobs. Going to make sure that you keep those classic circle vents. Keeps all the factory buttons. The factory volume knob will still function. The factory seek buttons will still function. All the climate controls, and all that stuff. So it'll be. I think this one's going to be a really popular one in the Jeep world.
Oh, now I see hands. I thought it was self-driving for a second, or you're driving with your knee.
No, just me and my son playing around.
So what's the screen in the upper right? What
that's
is that
it's just a monitoring. It's actually a company called Ghost Overland. They do an 8-channel, like you can access it from the satellite's DVR system. Like it's a pretty wild thing. They've got thermal cameras, and they're just a cool partner. So originally we were supposed to have those on our screen, but I had to pull out the big 15-inch to put in this one to test it. And so as soon as I get the 15-inch back in my Jeep, I will put his cameras on the 15-inch rather than the separate screen. But that's what it is.
Yeah, way too cool. All right, moving right along. Of course, the Ram, the 19 and up Ram.
Yeah.
6th gen. I still like those trucks. And of course, you got to have the Tacoma.
Old Tacoma. Yep.
Yep, and there's a lot of those out there. Like I say, we just finally released our Tacoma enclosure, just started shipping. So there's a lot of Toyotas on the road, and more coming all the time. And then there's the unit that I have with the 13 to 18 Dodge Ram.
Yep.
So like I say, that looks like it's going to be really big and blocks, but it really doesn't.
No, it's a viewing angle thing, right? Like once you're in there, like you said, you would look at the hood if you didn't look at the screen. So it's not like it's blocking anything at all. So
yeah, and it's like I say, it's really, really nice to have that in there and have all the control and Ranger, even the newer style Rangers.
Yep.
I mean, we just keep going on and on. Tundra, you can't leave out the Tundras.
Nope.
And that's definitely the little bit older versions of them. And there's my favorite one. So yeah, that's for those guys that we didn't see. We saw the newer Mustang, the 15 and up. Yeah. This is for the S197s. What years will this one fit?
That's 10 to 14, I believe. Yep.
So for those other guys out there driving Mustangs, this unit is so much nicer. And, I bragged for years that, I was able to get, such a great sounding audio system with the factory radio. But sooner or later, everything starts to die, and the factory radio quit playing USB, and sometimes you start turning up the volume, and it'd go back down to 0 from wherever it was, and you have to start over. And I will tell you that when I put this in, that especially doing the optic input, this thing sounds absolutely incredible. And once again, with the app, it just, you're full digital all the way. So cool.
Can't go wrong, man.
All right, and I think I've got one other thing. Tell us about this. This is interesting.
Yeah, so this is mainly for our dealers, but if our dealers don't call in, we'll let anybody in at this point. But third Thursdays, we do a live training via Zoom. And we do. I feel like we do some of the best trainings in the industry. We've got 4 camera angles at the minimum. So it's one of those, like, depending on where Victor's working on the car, you're going to have a clear shot of what he's doing. And we'll walk through an install of, a variety of different things. We've done radios, amplifiers, some of our light version radios, some of our IQ radios. Like, we just pick something. We're always looking for someone to give us an answer. Like, hey, do a video on this or do a training on this. But yeah, third Thursday via Zoom, anybody can come in. We do giveaways too. So we always give something away. We've given away radios, amplifiers, and DVR cameras, all sorts of different things. And we're here to answer questions and get all of that stuff. So yeah, I'll give you guys what's coming new. So yeah, if you're a dealer and you're watching this, man, make sure you let me know if you aren't getting the emails, because third Thursday, 2:00 Pacific Standard Time, we go live. Not as cool as you guys, but we do go live.
Oh, you'll get there.
Yeah.
I've seen what you guys can do, so. Too cool. Well, Colin, do we have anybody had any other good questions we can ask John while we got him on? I think he's scrolling back up through stuff, and once again, thank you guys, Andy and everybody, and both Andys up there. And I want to give a shout out to Mike Craner. I hope you're doing well, Mike, and of course Tom Marshall, and all the good old fans out there, and our good old colleagues and friends. So guys, we can't do this without you, so thanks for all your support. So Shupdog asks again, so with LinksWell, do you need a kicker key?
What's a kicker key?
Oh, he's probably talking about our key 204, the amplifier. Is that right, Ernie? Is that what?
Yeah, you're not going to need any kind of well, is he talking about the
Yeah, Ernie's asking me what he's talking about. All right, Shup, well, give us a little more detail on your question.
Yeah. If he's asking about those the little amps, we have a built-in amp, right? It's not going to be anything super big. So actually, we don't need anything to do with Maestro, because what Maestro does is what we already do. So Maestro creates CAN bus interfacing for radios like Alpine, Kenwood, Sony, Pioneer, who doesn't do it for themselves. So those guys make radios and that's it. Maestro is the middle piece to get that radio into your car. We do everything. So we don't need Maestro because everything Maestro does, we do on our own. So we don't need Maestro.
Yep, everything's all in your box.
Yep, everything you need.
That is another good question. All right, one more question. So, will LinksWell make Generation 6 for the 2017 Chevy Colorado? Those are popular trucks.
That is a phenomenal question. And if I could find my phone, I would show you literally last night. I got a picture of I think it was 14 to 18 Colorado radio that said, hey, John, what do you think? Should we finish the development on this one? So I would tell you probably. I would say yes, it is probably coming soon, because I literally saw a picture of it last night. So good question.
Yeah, it really is. It was good timing too. And Kofso Life says, will you keep the satellite view when parking with the GMC trucks?
If you mean satellite view by 360 camera,
I think that's what he means.
Yeah, so if you have factory 360 camera where you're looking down in parking, yes, we retain all the, whether it's a GM, Ford, I think even on the Dodge, the 8-inch one, some of them have the 360 cameras. Yep, we can retain those factory cameras.
Which is so amazing that they can do stuff like that. I mean, that's just crazy. But yeah, electronics and technology, AI is getting crazy. Pretty soon the AI is going to basically live our lives for us if we let it keep going that way. All righty. Well, I think that's going to be the end of the questions. We've got some other things to do. If you want to hang out, John, maybe help me give away some stuff here at the end of the show, that would be awesome. But if you have to go too, I understand.
No, let's give stuff away.
You're a busy guy, but we are too. So always doing cool stuff and having fun. Like I say, we work a lot. We just don't always work that hard. So
yeah.
A lot of playing going on. So I think we're going to start with some fail pictures. Those are always fun. So I'm going to get this pulled up here, and then I'll get Ernie to spring up the laptop. So here's a great install. Once again, if any of these are your guys' installs, like I say, this is all for fun. Just a little bit of entertainment, and got to have a laugh once in a while. I call this the Spider-Man install. probably not real good sounding, and at least the speakers are almost matched, but I don't think the ports in those enclosures are doing anything at all. But yeah, definitely consider that one a fail. And hopefully that's not one of your pictures, John. I don't think it is, but all right. And then of course, always, and here's that stupid mouse going away. Yeah, if you have issues with your amps going on fire, this is never a good thing. I'm going to start bringing my other mouse because this is just really frustrating.
I wish you would.
Yeah, Ernie says, I wish you would. All right. So anyway, yeah, when your amplifier's on fire, that's never a good thing. And guys, this is just, I'd like to say that always fuses will help that, but not always. But, always use proper fusing. Here's another very unique picture. This one is crazy in the fact that it, I'm not sure, if that's ground wire or power wire, but they've got a red wire. It looks like a drywall screw screwed through it. So, yeah, here again, proper connections are always, yeah, in something. And you notice up above, you've got red and black wires with a wire nut. So we got several problems with that picture. And same thing with this one. This is hard to figure out. Exactly what's going on, because it looks like they've wired to the tweeter, like bypass the mid-range and the top speaker. The bottom speaker looks like they cut a top off of a box and mounted it in and kind of stuffed it in the hole of the door, so it's not sealing well. And really goofy things like, what are they jamming the screw holes here? What's just, yeah, at least they got a crossover, but with the colors of wire that they're using, how do you tell what's what? Especially if you're trying to diagnose it. So yes, we're going to consider that one a fail. And soldering 101. If this is the way your solder joints look, probably the biggest problem I can think of, it's not hot enough. You need a bigger soldering iron. Yes, 15 watts will melt solder, but the bigger the wire, the more you've got to solder, the more wattage you do need. So solder irons are not one size fits all, and this is definitely probably one of the worst solder jobs I have ever seen. And yeah, Ernie says he thinks they insulated with hot glue, but maybe they did. Still, that's not a good thing to do either. You want to have a nice, good, smooth solder joint. Wrap your wires nice before you solder them. Heat shrink or tape or something to protect them. Not hot glue. Hot glue. There's no application when you want to use hot glue for a car audio install. And if you wonder why your wires burn up or why your car's on fire, yeah, just take a look at this one. Here's another, great, you can see where the wires melted here, and I assume that's the power wire coming in. And what is the bolts, and the yeah, but that wire is definitely cooked all the way across. And then I like this little remote switch. So apparently they didn't know how to connect it to the radio, so it turned on and off with the ignition, or at least with the radio. So, yep, another fail. All right, so that's going to end the fails. And once again, if those are any of your guys' installs, this is all for fun. We're all here to help. But now for something completely different, as Monty Python would say. We want to go to some really cool installs that I was able to pull off the internet, and you guys are always welcome to send us stuff. This is kind of a neat install. I love things that are unique, and they don't always have to have all our drivers, but it's a great use of our comp VR woofers, and just this is actually a still frame from a video, so really neat little install in this vehicle. I just always got to applaud the creativity on what some of you guys are doing. And this little slingshot, I imagine this thing is really, really loud with those KMXLs right behind your head, right in between you. And then he's got the L7T12 behind the seat on each side. So I bet you that little slingshot sounds great. Another cool install. Here again, not necessarily all our equipment, but just the creativity, just the uniqueness, the fit and finish. I mean, they took some time to do this. I mean, it wasn't just thrown together and, wires everywhere. I mean, there was a little bit of planning, a little bit of thought, and it looks nice. So thanks again for spending the effort. Here's something else that's kind of cool. Now you see obviously looks like L715s, 4 of them mounted magnet to magnet. And one of the neat things about doing this, I've seen some, like really high-end home speakers, like $1 million home speakers, well, they'll actually like bolt a steel bar or, like aluminum bar between the two speakers and fire them out like this. And the major advantage what this is doing is it's offsetting the energy of the speakers. So when the speaker pushes out, the other one's pushing out too, so they're actually pulling each other. So it gives you much better vibration resistance for much better sound. And of course, we actually did a show, probably a couple of years ago where we proved that, you can have speakers fire right at each other and they're not going to cancel. You hear that a lot, that, yeah, you can't put speakers in each side of the fender wells in the trunk of your car because they cancel. Well, we did a whole show where we actually played the speakers live and we moved them in different configurations, and not once did the SPL change even by 1/10 of a dB. So, but this is just really neat. I love the little tweeter bar in the center, so thank you for sending that, and I bet you there's a whole lot of mid-range coming out of that vehicle. Now here's a guy, I think this is from Poptronics. This is a 3D printed grill for the ST series. So this was on the Kicker Club page. So if you guys go back and search it, I think you probably find out who makes these if you want these, but if you don't have your own 3D printer. But what a great idea. It actually attaches to the screws magnetically. So cool install, neat idea. And then this isn't so much, audio, but we're back to, really good clean wiring. And look at the time that these guys spent doing the wiring on the power and the grounds. And here's another run with all the fusing. Everything's properly fused, 1/0 wires everywhere. There's got to be, 100 and some pound of just copper wire in this vehicle. But it all goes to 3 Warhorse amplifiers, which are laid out nicely. I mean, great for cooling. The wires are still run very nice and clean. So, hats off, guys. Great installation, great job. So thank you for doing that. So, cool. All right, well, we got a couple events to talk about. We're back live on the camera. MasterTech is coming up next week in Phoenix. I'm not sure if there's any tickets left. I think it was, $850 per person. But if you're a high-end installer or want to become a high-end installer, you need to consider going to MasterTech. We've been there every year, and it really is where the best go to learn to be better. They're just, the 3D graphics classes they offer, the CNC, the upholstery, the metalworking. I mean, it just really is a great place to learn. Even if you're pretty good at car audio, there's always room. I always learn something whenever I go, so I always sit in all the classes. So MasterTech is going to be next week, and don't forget SQ at HQ. That is our own competition we're holding right here at Kicker in the parking lot. Ernie, that's in April. What day is it? I forgot. May 16th, not April, so it's going to be in May, so it's not going to be, hopefully extremely hot by then, but it'll be a great show. I know the one we did last year was very well attended and a lot of fun, and it's only going to be bigger and more fun than it was last time. So if you guys can make it, come to Stillwater, Oklahoma in the middle of May and come check out SQ at HQ. And don't forget, we got the Showdown Super Show with Steve Barber at the Abbey Resort in Nevada. So a great little outdoor parking lot venue with a lot of high SPL vehicles. So if you're anywhere near Nevada in, I think it's in, not Lansing, I can't even remember what town it is, but anyway, look it up. It's the Laughlin, that's it. Yeah, it's in Laughlin, Nevada. But what a great show that is. And of course, it's going to be beautiful weather. So make sure you guys go check out any of the shows that come to you. And you can always find these if you go to our Facebook page, go to More and scroll down to Events, and it'll tell you all the events that are coming up, where they are and when they are. So it is really nice. So there will be no Living Loud with Andy tonight, just to let you guys know. I was just told that earlier, so if you're not feeling well, Andy, or got things going on, I think I saw something that said you were relaxing on the couch. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your family's doing well. And once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. I think it's time to give away some prizes. I think, John, you're hanging around, so Colin's gonna put up the third prize winner, and the third prize winner is going to get the TW1 earbuds, which are Bluetooth in-ear earbuds with noise blocking technology. You're gonna get the Kicker koozie and the Kicker Unmasked t-shirt. So third place winner is, drum roll please. Can you read that, John?
Sean M. from Richmond, Indiana.
All right. Congratulations, Sean. Watch for an email from Colin. You are our third place winner to get a set of those great little earbuds. Second place winner is going to be, I saw from Freeport before it went off the screen. Looks like ECC Destin. Yeah, that's what hard to tell. So yeah, I'm sure whoever put that in knows exactly who they are. So yeah, So congratulations on that from Freeport, Florida. You win the TW2s, and those have active noise canceling, and you'll get the Kicker koozie and the Kicker t-shirt. And John, I'm going to let you read the grand prize winner for tonight.
All right. It just ran away from my screen. Here we go. Sebastian C. from Mesa, Arizona.
Mesa, Arizona. Well, guess what? Guess where Master Tech is going to be?
Mesa,
Arizona. It's going to be in the Mesa, I think the little complex up there.
Yeah.
Steven's writing some stuff up here. What do you got up there, Steven? It said, Lynxwell, plug and play head units. Infotainment, I'm reading this. Dismiss John before we end the show. See, I got to be prompted here. This is what happens when you go live and you haven't done a show for a while. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to do that anyway, even before I read that. So, yeah, they just don't trust me to do things right, and I can't say that I blame them for not trusting me.
Hey.
John, thanks for being on the show, and give Victor and Walt my best. Hopefully, will we see you guys at Master Tech?
We will not be at Master Tech. We're moving. We're moving buildings.
Okay,
so, yeah.
That's right. Well, good luck with that. Guys, have a good night. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Tune in 2 weeks, and we've got some more cool things going on right here, 7:30 Central Time. Appreciate your support, guys. Have a good night. Thanks again, John.
Later.
Raring engines shake the ground, kicker sound spinning round, metal hearts pounding the beat, feel the rush at your feet. Tear the night with electric scream, amped up dreams fuel the stream, thunder blast through endless skies, driving forward never dies. Kicker unmasked, live it loud, break the silence, join the crowd, rock the planet, feel the fire, shake the world, lift it higher. Whoa! Wires twist like veins of steel, born to crush, born to feel, lightning runs through every chord, power surge, the final word.